Hi there. Welcome back to the B-side. Today, we'll cover one of the most frustrating cases in the history of Halifax, Nova Scotia. The murder of Tanya Jean Brooks. It's a case everyone knows the answer to. Yet something is keeping them from coming forward. Fear is a powerful force. Tanya Jean Brooks was born on May 28, 1972. She belonged to the Mi'kmaq Nation and grew up in Millbrook First Nation, about an hour outside of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. She hoped to one day become a Mi'kmaq elder in her community. She was also a mother and grandmother. Tanya struggled throughout her life with addiction and had a criminal record of minor offenses. But it seemed at the time of her murder, Tanya was trying to turn over a new leaf after being released from jail. She worked at a cafe and even made a return to school. At times, Tanya lived on the streets, particularly the Guyangen Street area in the north end of Halifax. But her mother didn't believe Tanya was ever homeless. It seems that Tanya had a support network in the city, outside of her hometown of Millbrook. It was May 10th, 2009, the day before Mother's Day. Tanya called her mother to wish her a happy Mother's Day. She was very close with her mother and always made sure to keep in touch. She had also spoken to her daughter CJ. Tanya ended the call by stating that she needed to buy more minutes on her phone. A few hours later, her daughter CJ had a feeling that something bad was going to happen to her mother and made several attempts to call her. There was no answer. Perhaps it was a forewarning of what was to come next. The following day, May 11th, 2009, at about 2 p.m., Tanya's body was found in the window well of St. Patrick's Alexandra School. Tanya's body was discovered by a teacher in a neighboring classroom when they heard Tanya's cell phone ringing. Window wells are often used for basement windows and are dug into the ground in a semicircular shape to let light in. This may have been why passers-by outside of the building had not seen Tanya's body. Upon doing an autopsy of her body, Halifax Regional Police ruled her death as a homicide, though her exact cause of death has not been released to the public. Tanya died only a few weeks before her 37th birthday. The Halifax Regional Police Headquarters is located on Guyangen Street, where Tanya often hung out. So it didn't take long for police to track Tanya's movements. At 8:20 p.m., police recorded Tanya leaving police headquarters on CCTV, but lost sight of her at around 9 p.m. One witness came forward after Tanya's body was found. He had been looking outside of his apartment window and saw Tanya walking towards St. Patrick's Alexandra School on Guyangen Street, about a 7-minute walk from police headquarters. She was walking very quickly and looking over her shoulder as a group of people trailed behind. At the time, the witness called his sister, stating that he feared for his safety. For obvious reasons, Tanya's sister Vanessa was furious that the witness did not contact the police. Though police have disclosed little information about any possible suspects, they do believe that Tanya's murder was committed by people she knew. Tanya's friends and family also believe this theory. It seems that everyone knows who Tanya's killer is. There is just a lack of evidence and witness testimony to back it up. In Taken, a Canadian podcast and TV series about missing and murdered Indigenous women, Cheryl Maloney, president of the Nova Scotia Native Women's Association, talks about the anonymous phone call she received about Tanya. The caller urges Maloney to keep pushing for answers in the case. In an article for Vice News, journalist Hilary Beaumont was warned by Mi'kmaq elders, as well as 2 other women, to be careful when writing about Tanya's case. When interviewing the residents of the Guyanjin Street area for the article, she got the impression that people were afraid to speak out. So why are people so afraid? The answer to this question lies in the months before Tanya's murder. A year before her murder, Tanya was brutally beaten by her drug dealer. Her drug dealer had beaten her with a metal pipe and only stopped once the pipe had broken. Tanya had suffered seizures on the way to the hospital from blows to the head, and the arm she used to protect herself was broken in multiple places. Tanya was hit between 75 and 100 times. This incident was no secret to Tanya's friends and family, nor the residents of Guyanjin Street. Many people believe that a hit was put on Tanya for $2,000 because she wanted to testify against someone in court. Others who were close to Tanya had heard it was a drug dealer, though they won't share the dealer's name. Could this be the explanation that is keeping people in silence and fearful of speaking out? Who was following Tanya on that May night? Could Tanya have been killed by people involved in illegal activities or organized crime? Is this the same drug dealer that had attacked Tanya a year before? According to official court documents obtained by Vice News, the person responsible for Tanya's attack is named Patrick Segertz. Segertz, an 18-year-old drug dealer, had asked Tanya to run some errands for him in his Cadillac a week before her assault. However, when Tanya took the car, Segertz reported it as stolen. Police found out that the car had illegal license plates and confiscated it. A week later, Tanya met up with Segertz at an acquaintance's apartment to obtain drugs. Tanya had felt uneasy as a stranger let them in the apartment building. When they knocked on the apartment door, there was no answer. Tanya became paranoid that she was being set up. Segertz suggested they complete the drug deal in the laundry room down the hall. This is where Segertz pulls out a metal pipe. While he beats Tanya, he accuses her of stealing his car. Though Segertz nearly beats Tanya to death, she manages to walk to the apartment building next door and call for help. At first, Tanya did not want to testify against Segertz in court, but ended up changing her mind at the last minute. Yet, she never ended up testifying against him. He pled guilty to aggravated assault. After the assault, Tanya was afraid for her life, as well as for the safety of her loved ones. Segertz was a violent offender who seriously harmed Tanya. But is there enough evidence to connect him with Tanya's murder? Segertz received 5 years and 4 months for the assault of Tanya. Tanya was murdered only 2 months after the beating, leaving Segertz in jail during the murder. So, were people hired to kill Tanya? Police investigated threats against Tanya in 2009 before she died. A close family friend even confirmed that Tanya received some frightening phone calls during this time, which they believe are related to her testifying at Segert's trial. Sadly, although Tanya feared repercussions after Segert's sentencing, she still went back to the streets because of her addiction, leaving her extremely vulnerable to further attack. It's been over 11 years since Tanya's murder, and police still have not pressed any charges, although they have a good idea about the circumstances of Tanya's death. Tanya's family is still left waiting for justice, with no new evidence to support a conviction. Currently, Tanya's family and community do yearly memorial walks to retrace her last steps, and are asking anyone with information about the case to come forward. Though many in her family and community feel as though she was forgotten by law enforcement, her death has spread awareness about the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls movement. Her case was also featured on the Aboriginal Peoples Television Network series Taken, as well as Canadian rapper Classified's Powerless music video. Patrick Segert was released from prison in September 2012, after only serving 4 years for assaulting Tanya. Currently, there are no criminal charges against Segert. Police simply do not have enough concrete evidence to link him to Tanya's murder, and say they need people to speak out with any information. However, this would require someone to testify and potentially risk their safety. As of now, the case is still open, and police will not disclose whether Segert is even a person of interest at this time. If you have any information related to Tanya's case, contact information for law enforcement is posted below. And if you're interested in bringing other true crime cases like Tanya's to light, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.